Welcome to Where Old Gods Sleep. Find a comfortable position, take a slow, deep breath, and let the day gently fall away as we begin. In the long blue hush before midnight, when lamplight makes the room seem older than it is, there is a story from Uruk beside the Euphrates. The city stood in baked clay and reed shadow, with walls broad enough for a king to walk upon. Its gates were heavy with cedar. Its streets held the dust of traders, potters, singers, and children who had learned the names of gods before they could count the stars. There, the people remembered Gilgamesh, 2/3 divine and 1/3 mortal, a king too large for his own heart. In his youth he had wanted the world to know him by strength. He had raised walls, wrestled beasts of the wild places, crossed cedar forests, and walked with Enkidu, the companion who made his fierce life gentler. But when Enkidu was gone, the sound of praise changed. It no longer filled Gilgamesh. It echoed. He left Uruk in sorrow and went out where the roads grew thin. He crossed the mountains where scorpion beings kept watch. He passed through darkness and came to the garden of the gods, where bright stones hung like fruit. He found Utnapishtim, the ancient one who had survived the great flood and lived beyond ordinary endings. Gilgamesh asked the question every restless heart has once held in silence. How does a name remain? How does a life keep from vanishing? Utnapishtim told him of waters that had covered the earth, of a boat pitched with bitumen, of animals breathing in the dimness, of a dove and a raven, and the first smell of sacrifice rising after rain. Then he gave Gilgamesh a quieter chance. Beneath the waters, there grew a plant with the power to return youth. Gilgamesh tied stones to his feet and sank into the deep. The river closed over his shoulders. His hands found the plant in the cold dark, and its thorns bit softly into his palms. He came up carrying it like a secret. He would bring it back to Uruk, he thought. He would share it with the old men first. The city would bless him. His name would be spoken not only for walls and battles, but for mercy. On the homeward road, beside a pool, Gilgamesh laid the plant down and bathed. The water was cool. The air smelled of stone and tamarisk. While the king rested, a serpent came quietly through the grass, took the plant, and slipped away, leaving behind only a shining skin. There was no cry great enough to bring it back. Gilgamesh looked at the empty place where the plant had lain, and at last his hands were empty too. He returned to Uruk with Ushannabi the boatman, not immortal, not young again, not free from loss. At the gate of the city, he did not point toward a throne. He pointed toward the walls. See the brickwork, he said. See the foundations. Walk around them. Touch what human hands have made. The old story keeps that moment carefully. The king who had searched for life without ending came home and found another kind of remembering. Not the body kept forever. Not the plant hidden from death. Brick upon brick, name beside name, labor held in clay. The walls did not defeat time, but they gave time something to carry. Somewhere in the tablets, under dust and broken edges, Gilgamesh still reaches the city at night. The river goes on murmuring below him. The moon rests on the parapets. The king stands with his hand on the baked clay, learning that to be remembered is not always to be unchanged. Sometimes it is enough that someone, long after, walks the wall and whispers the name. Let the old baked bricks hold what cannot be held, and let you rest beside them. From brick and river, the night drifts toward a moon road over Egypt. Far south and east of many deserts, in the city the Egyptians called Waset and others would call Thebes, the moon god Khonsu had a house of stone. His temple stood within the great sacred precinct, among columns carved with lotus and papyrus, where priests moved at night with shaved heads and linen robes, and bronze offering bowls caught the pale light. Khonsu was young in the old carvings, a child of the moon, a wanderer across the heavens, a healer whose face could be carried in procession when sorrow asked for help. In the rain remembered by old inscriptions, a message came from Bekhten, a distant land beyond Egypt's familiar riverbanks. The princess there lay under a shadow no physician could lift. Her father, the king of Bekhten, had heard that the gods of Egypt could cross more than sand and border. He asked for Khonsu. In Thebes, the image of the god was prepared. The priests washed it, clothed it, perfumed it, and placed it in a sacred bark. Incense moved in blue threads. The doors opened. The moon watched from above as Khonsu left his own temple, borne by human shoulders, traveling away from the pylons and the Nile, toward a land where his name was still strange on the tongue. The journey was long. It passed through heat and stillness, through settlements where dogs slept under mud brick walls, through nights where the stars seemed to lean close. At last the god's image reached Bekhten. The foreign palace received him with awe. Lamps were lit. Bread and beer were placed before him. The sick princess lay quiet in her chamber, and the god entered the room like a cool wind from the river. The spirit troubling her did not rage in the old tale as much as it recognized a greater presence. It spoke with respect. It asked for a feast, for a day of honor, and then it would depart. The king of Bekhten agreed. Tables were set. Musicians played softly. The offering smoke climbed. After that, the shadow lifted from the princess, and her breath became calm. Joy filled Bekhten, and with joy came the small fear of losing what had saved it. The king looked at the image of Khonsu and wished to keep him. Why send away a god who had brought healing? Why let his moonlit face vanish beyond the desert again? The sacred statue remained in Bekhten not for a few days, but for years. Its shrine there was tended. Its name was praised. Yet far away, in Thebes, the god's own house waited. The temple stones cooled night after night. The Nile rose and fell. The moon crossed over the roof beams and found his chamber empty. Then the king of Bekhten dreamed. In the dream, Khonsu rose from his shrine like a falcon made of pale light. He opened his wings toward Egypt. He did not speak with anger. He showed only the direction of home. When the king woke, he understood. To remember a god was not to possess him. Honor was not a closed hand. He loaded the bark with gifts, with fine vessels, carved wood, incense, and cloth. He sent Khonsu back along the road, across the patient distances, toward Thebes. The priests received the god again. The doors of the temple opened. The moon had returned to its own chamber. Bekhten still remembered him, but now the remembering had the shape of gratitude rather than keeping. The princess lived. The far land told the story. In Thebes, the god sat once more where his people could raise songs to him. Under the silver arc of Khonsu's boat in the sky, the wish to be remembered becomes gentle. It does not ask to be held forever in one place. It asks to be honored, released, and called by name when the night is clear. May the moon find its own doorway home, and may you lie quietly beneath its silver road. The returning moon leaves a pale path across desert stone, and the path bends north toward a sleeping field in Anatolia. Beyond the bend of the Halys River, in the high lands of Hatti, the stones of Hattusa held the breath of storm gods. Wind moved over the plateau. Lions watched from city gates. In sanctuaries cut by weather and prayer, the Hittite people gave bread, beer, and oil to powers whose names were spoken carefully. Among those powers was Telepinu, a god of green life, grain shoots, plowed fields, and the returning strength of the earth. the old story begins with absence. Telepinu went away. No one in the houses at first understood the size of that going. A god may depart more quietly than a door closing. But soon the hearth smoked badly. The logs would not catch. Ewes neglected their lambs. Cows turned from their calves. Seeds lay hidden in the soil and seemed to forget which way was upward. Mist gathered in the windows of the barns. The fields did not wake. The god searched for him. The storm god looked across mountains. The sun god sent his sight over the earth. Messengers went through valleys where wild thyme grew between stones. Still, Telepinu was not found. He had carried away fertility as a man might carry a cloak over one arm, and the world felt the cold place where he had been. Then Hanarana, the old mother goddess, spoke with the patience of one who knows that small things reach hidden places. She sent a bee. The bee was not grand. It had no thunderbolt, no chariot, no weapon shining in a temple. It crossed fields where nothing blossomed, past empty hives, and entered a meadow at the edge of sleep. There, under a darkened grove, Telepinu lay turned away from the world. The grass around him was bent. His anger, or grief, or forgottenness had gathered about him like a heavy blanket. The bee touched him with a sharp whisper. It found his hands. It found his feet. Telepinu stirred. The stirring of a god is not always gentle for the world. Clouds thickened. The ground trembled in the old words. The hidden feeling that had driven him away rose with him. Then Kamrasipa, mistress of ritual and healing speech, prepared the work that could bring him home without breaking the fields again. She set out clean things, fragrant things, old words, and quiet gestures. She called the god's heaviness by name, not to shame it, but to lead it away. The anger was drawn off like bitter water and sent down into the dark places below the earth, sealed where it could no longer sour the bread of the living. Then Telepinu remembered the world, and the world remembered him. The hearths cleared. The lambs found their mothers. The cattle bent their heads to feed. The grain woke in its narrow beds. Smoke rose straight from the roofs of Hatti. In the temples, the offering tables were laid again, not because the god needed human hands to exist, but because human hands needed a way to say, "Remain near us, do not vanish from the names we keep." There is a tender fear inside the myth. A household may forget the power that ripens its bread. A city may grow busy and leave a name unspoken. Then some green thing in the heart becomes still. But the Hittite story also remembers the bee, and that is a comfort. The lost god is not always found by force. Sometimes he is found by a small wing, by a patient search, by a ritual voice saying, come back, the fields have missed thee." And Telepinu rises, not as a conqueror, but as spring returning to a place that had almost forgotten the smell of rain. Let the sleeping fields remember their roots, and let you rest where the green world breathes again. The scent of rain on old earth drifts westward, until grass becomes Irish shore and song becomes a road. In Ireland, where the sea keeps its own memory against the rocks, Oisín was remembered as the son of Fionn mac Cumaill. The people told of the Fianna, hunters and warriors who slept under trees, followed deer through wet valleys, and knew the speech of wind on heather. Their fires once shone in the hills. Their hounds left prints in soft ground. Their names moved from mouth to mouth like sparks that did not wish to go out. Oisín was a poet among them. He had seen mornings rise over the Boyne and evenings fall on the western sea. He knew the sound of antlers in the wood and the harsh after a tale well told. Then Niamh of the golden hair came riding from Tir in a Nog, the land of youth beyond the waves. Her horse moved as if the foam itself had taken shape. Her eyes held a country where age did not enter and music did not fade. She invited Oisín across the sea. He went with her. The horses who struck the water and did not sink. Behind them Ireland grew small, green and smoky under cloud. Ahead lay Tir Nog, with apple trees bending over bright streams, halls filled with music, and days so gentle they passed like one long afternoon. There, Oisín lived with Niamh. No winter marked his hands. No grief hollowed his cheeks. The feasts were beautiful. The beds were soft. The air smelled of blossoms that never browned. Yet memory is not always quieted by happiness. Sometimes it grows stronger in a place where nothing changes. Oisín began to think of Phion. He thought of Oscar, of the Fianna, of the hounds, of the rain-dark hills. He wanted to see Ireland once more, to know whether the old fires still smoked, whether his people still walked under the trees. Niamh sorrowed, but she gave him her white horse and a warning. He must not set foot on the ground of Ireland. If he touched the earth, the years he had escaped would find him. Oisín crossed back over the sea. The shores he found were strange. Forts had fallen into grass. The Fianna were gone. Men in new clothes worked among stones where old halls had stood. When he asked for Phion, they knew the name as a story. When he spoke of the hunters, the young men listened as if he were naming stars. Near a road, he saw men struggling to lift a heavy stone. Oisín, strong with the strength of Tir Nog, leaned from the saddle to help them. The girth broke. He slipped. His foot touched Ireland. The years came like a soft storm. His hair whitened. His limbs grew thin. The bright country behind the sea closed its door. The horse vanished or returned riderless to Niamh, depending on which half told the tale. Oisín remained, old now, among a people who knew his world only in fragments. He found a listener in Patrick, the saint of the new faith, and thereby the changing fires of Ireland he spoke. He named Phion. He named Oscar. He named the hunts, the feasts, the lost companions, the sound of shields and harps, the deer at dawn, the hills where the Fianna had slept. He had not brought them back, but he brought their names forward. This is the tenderness of Oisín's story. The land of youth could keep his face unlined, but it could not keep his people remembered. For that, he had to return to time. He had to sit in the mortal air and speak until the old world glimmered again before other eyes. Long after, the songs still carry him, Oisín, who lost youth and kept memory, Oisín, who came home too late and still gave the vanished a voice. Let the old names pass softly through the dark, and let you sleep where the last songs are kind. The Irish song thins into wind, and the wind climbs toward mountains where a giant is waiting to be known. In the old East Slavic songs, before Kiev's bells rang over the Dnieper and before roads were drawn straight across the fields, there lived a giant hero named Svyatogor. His name carried the holy mountains inside it. He was so vast that the open earth could scarcely bear him. He rode where peaks leaned into cloud, where snow lay in hollows even when the valleys warmed, and where eagles seemed small against the cliffs. Svyatogor had strength beyond use. That was his sorrow. His horse's hooves pressed deep into stone. His shadow crossed forests. He could lift what others could not move, yet there was little in the world that truly needed such lifting. The songs remember him not as cruel, but as lonely in his greatness. A hero may be forgotten not because he is small, but because he belongs to a world too large to remain. One day, Ilmarinen rode into the mountain country. Ilya was a hero of another kind, bound to roads, cities, tables, and gates. He had strength enough for human need. He belonged to the fields and the riverbanks, to watch posts and halls where people gathered. When he met Svyatogor, the meeting was like a valley greeting a mountain. They traveled together for a while. The old songs let them move slowly through the high places, with the rains creaking and the night wind threading through pine. Svyatogor tried to share his vastness. Ilya listened. There was respect between them, and also the sadness of knowing that one age may not have room for another. Then they came upon a stone coffin standing in the open land. It was strange and quiet, as if it had been waiting before either hero was born. Its lid lay beside it. The stone was smooth with weather. Around it grew mountain grass, silver under the moon. Svyatogor laughed softly at first. Such things in old stories often asked to be tested. He lay down inside the coffin, and it fit him exactly. No space wasted. No edge too narrow. For the first time, the giant had found something made to his measure. Then the lid moved. In some tellings, Ilya tries to raise it. In others, Svyatogor himself understands that the stone has chosen him. The tale need not be made harsh. Let it be a deep rest coming for one who has carried too much. Svyatogor's voice came from within the stone, lowered now, no longer echoing over cliffs. He called to Ilya and offered him a breath of strength. Ilya bent close to a small opening. The giant breathed out a portion of his power. It entered Ilya like wind entering a sail. The younger hero felt his limbs grow heavier with might. Svyatogor offered more, but Ilya knew, or learned, that too much strength can become another coffin. He took only what a human road could bear. So the giant remained in the mountains, and Ilya rode down toward Kiev with a memory inside his body. He carried not all of Svyatogor, but enough. Enough for the songs. Enough for the name to pass from singer to singer when winter pressed against the doors. The wish to be remembered often asks for a monument. Svyatogor's monument was stranger, a breath given to another. His mountains kept his rest. Ilya kept his strength. The people kept his name. In this way, the giant did not have to walk the fields forever to remain among them. Somewhere under the blue-black ridges of the old songs, Svyatogor still lies in the stone that fits him. Snow gathers. Pines whisper. The world below has grown smaller and more crowded, but the mountains remember weight, and the singers remember the one who was too great for ordinary ground. May every burden too large for the road grow still, and may you rest beneath the mountain's quiet name. The mountain silence lowers into northern dusk, where a smith's hammer remembers what his hands cannot keep. In the far north of the Kalevala songs, where lakes hold the sky like polished stone and the forests stand dark with spruce, there lived Ilmarinen the smith. He had forged wonders in the old Finnish telling. His hammer knew iron, copper, silver, and the secret patience of fire. Sparks rose around him like brief stars. Bellows breathed. The anvil answered again and again in the dim room. Ilmarinen had once brought home a bride from Pohjola, the shadowed northern land. Her hair had shone in the firelight. Her hands had moved through the house. For a while the smith's dwelling knew the small sounds by which loneliness is kept away, footsteps, cloth being folded, water poured into a wooden vessel, a voice near the hearth. Then his house became quiet. The old songs carry sorrow plainly, but the night may hold it softly. Ilmarinen grieved in the way of one who knows how to make almost anything except the past. He stood before his furnace and thought of warmth that had left no mold behind. He had shaped sky miracles and metal treasures. Surely, he thought, the hammer might shape remembrance into a body. So he gathered precious things: gold, silver, fine metal, bright pieces that reflected the coals. He melted and hammered and cooled, bent and polished. Night after night, the forge glowed in the finished dark. Outside, snow lay along the roof. Inside, sparks clung briefly to the air before vanishing. The smith worked as though every blow might call a lost voice closer. At last he made a bride of gold and silver. She was beautiful in the still way of moonlight on ice. Her arms gleamed. Her face held the shape of the one he missed, or perhaps the shape his grief could bear to remember. Ilmarinen laid her in his bed, hoping the house would feel less empty. But the metal kept its own nature. She was cold against him. No breath warmed her lips. No dream moved under her eyelids. The night beside her was longer than the night alone. In some tellings he brought the shining bride to Väinämöinen, the old singer, and offered her as a wonder. But Väinämöinen understood what metal could not do. He warned the people not to bow their hearts to gold, not to mistake brightness for life. The smith's craft was mighty, yet even mighty craft had a boundary. Ilmarinen learned it in silence. The golden bride could remain as an image, a marvel, a warning, perhaps even a kind of memorial. But she could not return the warmth of the one who had gone. Remembrance was not the same as replacement. It could be shaped in song, in metal, in the careful tending of a hearth, but it could not be forced to breathe. So the smith's hammer lowered. The furnace dimmed. Outside, the northern stars stood over the trees, patient and remote. In that wide quiet, Ilmarinen was not less a maker because he had failed. He had reached the edge of what making could mend, and the old singers remembered him there, not triumphant, but human in his longing, with soot on his hands and grief beside the coals. There is a mercy in the tale. The dead are not honored by being remade into something cold. They are honored when the living admit the shape of absence and keep the fire honestly. The bright bride remains in memory, not as a comfort that succeeded, but as a lesson spoken low in winter houses. Ilmarinen's forge sleeps now in the mine's north. The anvil is dark. A few embers remain. On the wall, silver light trembles like a name that cannot return, yet has not been lost. Let the hearth keep its small true warmth, and let you sleep beyond the reach of cold metal dreams. The forge smoke fades into star smoke, and the stars gather over the Baltic for a daughter of the sun. Along the Baltic shores, where pine forests lean toward the sea and the Daugavava carries starlight through Latvia, the old songs remember Saulė, the sun, not as a distant light only, but as a mother moving through the sky. Her horses drew her bright path. Her daughters were adorned in shining garments. Around them moved Dievs, the sky father, the sons of Dievs, Minis the moon, Orsiklus the morning star, and Perkins whose thunder walked among oaks. The tale of Saule's daughter comes to the world in fragments, as many old songs do. It is not a single road paved flat. It is more like a handful of silver beads found in grass after a feast. One song remembers a wedding. Another remembers a boat. Another remembers a wreath, a ring, a shawl, a celestial smith, a horse waiting at the gate of morning. The Baltic singers kept what they had received, and by keeping the pieces, they kept the gods near. On one night in the old remembering, Saulė prepared her daughter for marriage. The sky was dim violet above the river. The daughter's garment shimmered like moonlit linen. Her belt was fine. Her crown held the pale gleam of stars. Far off, the sons of Dievs came riding or rowing, depending on the song, over the heavenly waters. Their oars dipped without sound. Their horses breathed mist. the whole sky seemed to wait with the stillness before dawn. Below, human fields lay quiet. Rye bent in the night wind. A bronze bowl of offering milk cooled near a threshold. Someone in a farmhouse heard thunder far away and crossed herself in the old manner, or perhaps only listened. Above, the wedding of the sky moved toward its hour. Then came the turn remembered in broken brightness. Perkins passed through the wedding with his storm. An oak was struck, or a heavenly tree was shaken, or ornament scattered from the bride's shining dress. The songs do not all agree, and their disagreement is part of their softness. Something was scattered. Something precious fell from the height of heaven toward the world below. A ring, a wreath, a piece of bridal adornment, a glimmering sign. It dropped into the waters, or into grass, or into the dark space where human memory waits for what the gods have lost. The wedding still happened, perhaps. The sky still turned. Saul still drove her horses. The morning star still kept watch. Yet the fallen brightness mattered. The singers found it in song. They lifted it not by hand, but by voice. Each little verse became a way to gather what thunder had strewn. That is why this myth belongs to the wish to be remembered. The old Baltic gods did not survive in one long palace tale, polished and sealed. They remained in short songs sung at work, at weddings, at dusk, by people who knew that a few lines could carry a whole sky. Saul's daughter may be half hidden now, but her crown still glints. Her wedding is still beginning somewhere over the Dorgavava whenever the old words are spoken. No temple roof is needed for this kind of memory. A river is enough. A field is enough. A mother's song, a wreath, a star seen before sunrise. The scattered ornaments of the divine become small lights in human keeping. And so the daughter of the sun passes through the violet night, neither fully seen nor fully lost. The thunder has gone away. The river holds what fell. The singers bend over the dark water and remember brightness by naming it softly. May the scattered lights be gathered without hurry, and may you sleep beneath their quiet shining. The sky-bride silver fragments drift like foam, and the night crosses a wide ocean toward volcanic shore. In Hawaiʻi, where the black lava slopes of Kilauea meet fern, rain, and the breathing sea, Pele's family lived in stories of fire, cloud, and song. Pele, the volcanic goddess, was fierce and beautiful, a presence felt in red earth and new stone. Among her sisters was Hiʻiaka, the youngest, beloved for her courage, her healing power, and her deep affection for the living green places that grew beside the fire. Hiʻiaka loved the forests of Puna. She loved the lehua blossoms, the wet leaves, the birds moving among branches. She also loved her friend Hopoe, a dancer whose hula carried the motion of the sea and the bending of flowers. Hopoe danced near the shore, where waves wrote and erased themselves on dark sand. In her hands, in her hips, in the turning of her feet, the land remembered its own grace. One day Pele sent Hiʻiaka on a long journey to Kauai to bring back Lohio, a chief whom Pele desired. Hiʻiaka agreed, but she asked that her lehua groves and her friend Hopoe be protected while she was gone. Pele granted the promise. Then Hiʻiaka set out across islands, through valleys, over ridges, past cliffs where seabirds cried in the mist. Her journey was not a quick errand. Old Hawaiian chants let it unfold with many meetings, prayers, dangers softened here into night shapes, and acts of healing. Hiʻiaka crossed wild places. She restored life where it had faded. She walked with companions beneath clouds and moon. Always, somewhere behind her, Puna remained in her heart, the grove, the shore, Hopoe's dance. But Pele waited, and waiting turned in her like fire under stone. The days lengthened. Suspicion and jealousy entered the crater. The promise frayed. In anger, Pele sent her heat through the places Hiʻiaka loved. When Hiʻiaka at last returned, she saw what had happened. The grove was changed. Smoke had passed among the lehua. The shore held a terrible stillness. Hopoe, the dancer, no longer moved as before. The tale remembers her as transformed into stone near the sea, a figure facing the waves. Her dance stopped in body but not in memory. Hiʻiaka's grief was deep. Yet this hour keeps it gently. She did not let Hopoe vanish into silence. She carried the dance forward. She remembered the steps. She remembered the way Hopoe's body had answered the surf, the way the hands opened like leaves, the way the feet knew the old rhythm of the land. What fire had stilled in one form, memory kept moving in another. The turn of the myth is not only Pele's broken promise. It is Hiʻiaka standing before the stone and choosing remembrance instead of forgetting. The body of the friend had become part of the shore. The dance became part of the people. Even now, in the old story, Hopoe remains where waves come and go, and the hula that loved her does not cease. There is a quiet truth in this. Some things are remembered because stone preserves them. Others are remembered because movement does. A dance can be a shrine without walls. A gesture can hold a face. A shore can keep the sound of a name longer than any carved mark. Night falls over Kilauea. The crater glows low beneath cloud. Ferns darken. Far away, the sea folds silver over black rock. Hiʻiaka, healer and sister, stands between fire and water, holding in her own living body the dance of the friend who could no longer rise. May the waves keep the rhythm gently, and may you sleep where no loved step is lost. The hula's quiet motion becomes river motion, and the river leads into the sacred groves of Un. In Yorubaland, where the sacred city of iLife rests in old memory and rivers move through forest shade, the Are with grave came into the world with tasks from Olajime. The earth was young in the telling. The boundary between heaven and land had not yet become ordinary. Powers moved close to human beginnings, Obatala with calm shaping hands, Augun with iron and road, with the crossings of speech and chance, and many others whose names were carried in praise. Among them was Un, Lady of Sweet Water, beauty, fertility, adornment, and the flowing grace by which life becomes tender enough to continue. Her river would be loved. Her brass and beads would shine at shrines. Her songs would be sung with honeyed care. But in the old story of the first work, the male Are with grave gathered and did not include her. They set about making the world habitable. They planned, cleared, built, commanded, and shaped. They had authority and tools. They had strength. Yet their work would not prosper. The ground remained difficult. Plans tangled. What was made did not thrive. A dryness entered the task, not only the dryness of soil without rain, but the dryness of a world without sweetness. Unwatched. She was not absent because she lacked power. She was absent because she had been overlooked. A name unspoken at the beginning leaves a silence inside the work. At last the Are with grave went back to Olajime and asked why their labor failed. The answer came with the clarity of river water. They had gone without Un. Nothing would be complete until she was honored among them. So they returned to her. The scene can be imagined in the cool shade near water, where leaves tremble and the river carries sky in broken silver. Un did not need to shout. The current itself was her speech. She came with the dignity of one who knows that remembrance is not flattery, but right order. When she joined the work, the world softened open. Water moved where it had been missing. Green things took root. Children could be born. Cloth could be washed. Pots could be filled. Laughter could rise after labor. The earth became not only shaped, but livable. The other RA with grave had to learn that power without Un was incomplete. The myth holds a gentle correction. To be forgotten is not the same as to be powerless. The forgotten one may be the very presence that lets the work breathe. Un's wish to be remembered is not vanity. It is the world asking not to be made harsh. In later days, people came to her river with offerings. They brought bracelets, mirrors, cloth, songs, cool water, and prayers for children, love, healing, and favor. The river did what rivers do. It received. It moved on. It shone through trees. It carried the goddess's name without needing stone walls. At night, the sacred grove grows dark. A bronze bowl waits near the bank. The water slides over roots. Moonlight gathers in slow ripples. Somewhere in that hush, Un's story still teaches the council to leave no necessary name outside the circle. And perhaps that is one of the oldest forms of remembrance, not praise after all is finished, but invitation before the work begins. May the river include every quiet name, and may you rest beside its patient silver. The river's surface darkens into sea mist, and another god steps away from the visible world to be remembered in a shrine. On the shore of Izumo, where the Sea of Japan breathes against sand and pine, the old Japanese stories remember Ōkuninushi, the great land master. He had walked through hardship, gained wisdom, loved deeply, and with the small god Sukunabikona helped shape the land into a place of medicines, fields, paths, and human dwelling. His presence belonged to the earth itself, to roots, roads, healing herbs, and the unseen bonds between beings. But the heavenly powers looked down upon the central land of reed plains. Amaterasu, the sun goddess of the high plane of heaven, wished the land to pass to her descendants. Messengers came. Some delayed. Some were changed by the richness of the earth. At last Takamikazuchi, a god of the sword and thunderous authority, descended to the shore of Inasa in Izumo. The sea was dark. The waves moved with a cold silver edge. Takamikazuchi sat upon the tip of his upright sword, a sign that the request he carried was not light. Ōkuninushi was asked to yield the land. He did not answer in haste. He turned first to his sons. Koto Shironashi, found fishing in a boat, accepted the transfer and withdrew into silence. Another son, Takema Nakata, resisted and was driven away toward Suwa, where he too would be remembered. The land was not handed over without feeling. It had roots in those who had tended it. Then Ōkuninushi gave his answer. He would yield the visible land to the heavenly descendants. The fields, the courts, the rule seen by human eyes could pass on. But he asked for something in return, a great dwelling place, a palace or shrine raised for him, with pillars planted deep and roof beams reaching high. There he would remain as lord of hidden matters, of unseen connections, of the spirits and bonds not easily governed by daylight. This was the turn of the tale. Ōkuninushi did not cling to the throne until his name was erased by struggle. He stepped back into mystery, but not into nothing. He asked that memory be built properly around his withdrawal. A god who gives way still requires a house. Izumo became that house in later reverence. The great shrine stands in the imagination with thick ropes, high timber, and deep shadow. People came to honor the deity who had yielded and remained. They prayed for ties between lives, for marriage, friendship, kinship, meetings that seem accidental but may be woven under the surface. The god who left the visible rule became keeper of invisible joining. At night on Inasa Beach, the old scene grows calm. The sword no longer glints with threat. The waves move in and out as they did before the bargaining of gods. Ōkuninushi stands at the edge of the land he shaped, feeling it pass from his hands. Yet behind him, in the unseen distance, rises the house he requested, not a prison of memory, but a place where offerings can still find him. The story understands that being remembered sometimes means accepting a different room in the world. Not every name remains on the gate. Some names move inward. Some are kept behind curtains, in rituals, in the hush before a prayer for a bond that must not break. Ōkuninushi's palace below the shore is not below like a burial, but below like a root. Hidden things hold the visible world steady. May every unseen bond be housed in peace, and may you sleep where the hidden roots are kind. From Izumo's dark shore, the night turns inland toward an ancient winter and a king who tried to preserve all living names. In the ancient Iranian stories, in the first lands remembered under the wide sky, there was a king named Yima. He was radiant in the old telling, a guardian of prosperity, a ruler of broad pastures, cattle, people, and fire. The world under him was abundant. Herds multiplied. Human beings spread across the earth. The ground became too full, and more than once Yima widened it so that life might have room. He ruled not beside a small river only, but in the great imagined homeland of early memory, where mountains held snow and the wind crossed open spaces with a dry, clear sound. The people kept fire carefully. They knew the value of good animals, strong seed, clean water, and a well-made house. Their world was living, and because it was living, it could be lost. Ahura Mazda, the wise lord, warned Yima of a winter unlike ordinary winter. Not the season that comes and goes, leaving lambs in spring, but a hard covering cold that would fall upon the world and threaten the best of what breathed and grew. Snow would lie deep. The familiar fields would disappear. The old roads would be swallowed. Life would need shelter beyond the usual shelter. Yima was told to make a vara, an enclosure, a hidden house against the destroying cold. It was to hold the finest seeds of people, animals, plants, and fires. Not for pride. Not for display. For preservation. For memory-given walls. So Yima marked out the ground. He made a place apart, deep and protected, where the chosen forms of life could endure. Into it came the best cattle, the best dogs, the best birds, the best seeds of trees and grain, and human beings of sound body and clear lineage, as the ancient words imagined them. There was water there. There were meadows, though enclosed. There was light of a strange inward kind, not sun as on open hills, but enough for life to continue. The turn of the myth is quiet and enormous. Yima did not defeat winter by fighting it in the open. He answered by remembering forward. He made a house for what must not be forgotten by the world. Every seed carried a future forest inside it. Every animal carried a future herd. Every flame carried a future hearth. The vara became a memory of creation held in reserve. Outside, the winter came. The story lets the mind see snow over ridges, empty valleys, winds moving where voices had been. But inside Yima's enclosure, life remained in a long, suspended dusk. Hooves shifted softly. Leaves did not entirely wither. Fires breathed low in their places. People waited without seeing the whole sky, trusting that the shelter itself was a promise. This is a different wish to be remembered. It is not the hero's hunger for song, nor the god's desire for offerings. It is the wish that life itself not be erased. that the forms of deer, dog, grain, cedar, rose, and human face might survive the hour that would otherwise forget them. Yima's work his memory as refuge. The tale also carries shadow around him, as many royal myths do. No king remains flawless forever in every telling. Yet here, in this winter house, Yima is remembered for the act of keeping. He becomes the one who made a chamber for tomorrow when the outer world had no mercy. In the blue silence of the Vara, nothing hurries. The animals sleep. The seeds wait in darkness. The fires glow like watchful eyes. Beyond the walls, snow covers the old tracks, but within, the names of living things remain gathered, breathing softly until the world can receive them again. May every small life be sheltered through the cold, and may you rest inside the house that remembers spring. The sheltered flame burns lower, and far away a poor cottage opens its door to two wandering gods. In the hills of Phrygia, where old paths wound between fields and small houses leaned under weathered roofs, there lived Baucis and Philemon. They were not kings, not founders of cities, not warriors whose shields rang in halls. They were an old married pair with little to offer except what they had always offered, a clean threshold, a low fire, and hands willing to share bread. One evening, two travelers came through the region. They were dusty from the road and disguised as ordinary men. Door after door had closed to them. Lamps burned behind shutters. Dogs stirred and settled again. The travelers asked for shelter, and the village refused them. At last they reached the poor cottage of Baucis and Philemon. The old couple welcomed them without knowing they were gods. In the Roman telling, the visitors were Jupiter and Mercury, walking the human roads in hidden form. But at the cottage door, they were simply strangers in need of rest. Baucis hurried to stir the fire. Philemon set out a bench and softened it with a cloth. They brought olives, eggs, cabbage from the garden, and wine from a modest bowl. The room was small. Smoke darkened the rafters. Reeds covered the floor. A single lamp gave enough light to make kindness visible. As the meal went on, the old couple noticed that the wine did not lessen. However often it was poured, the bowl remained filled. Or entered the cottage quietly. Their guests were more than travelers. Baucis and Philemon lifted their trembling hands, ashamed that the food was so plain. They wished to offer more, even the household goose that guarded their yard, but the bird fled to the gods themselves, and the gods spared it. Then Jupiter and Mercury revealed the truth. The village that had refused them would be changed, but Baucis and Philemon were led up the hillside to safety. Behind them, the low valley filled with water, softened in this telling into a moonlit lake where roofs and roads disappeared under mist. Their poor cottage became a temple. The gods asked what gift the old couple desired. Here lies the heart of the story. Baucis and Philemon did not ask for youth, riches, or dominion. They asked to serve in the temple together. They asked that neither should have to stand beside the other's grave. After a life shared in small rooms, they wished to remain unseparated at the end. Their wish was granted. For years they tended the shrine. They swept the threshold. They kept offerings in order. They remembered the evening when gods had sat at their table and eaten humble food. Their names, once known only to neighbors, became attached to sacred hospitality. Not fame as noise. Memory as blessing. When their last hour came, they stood together before the temple steps. Baucis saw leaves growing from Philemon. Philemon saw bark rising around Baucis. They spoke farewell while speech was still possible, and then the transformation gently finished. One became an oak. The other became a linden. Their branches leaned together, crossing in the air, touching whenever the wind moved through them. Travelers later came to see the trees. They hung wreaths there. They told the story again, how two gods were welcomed by the poor, how a cottage became a shrine, how an old couple asked only not to be parted. In that telling, Baucis and Philemon received what many hearts secretly want. They were remembered not for conquest, but for tenderness faithfully repeated until it became holy. Now the night reaches its last quiet place. The lake is still below the hill. The temple stones are cool. The oak and linden stand together in silver moonlight, roots mingled under earth, branches mingled under sky. Their leaves make a low sound, almost like whispering, almost like sleep. May kindness be remembered after every lamp is out, and may you drift beneath the trees that never part. The old gods grow still in their dark houses, and the night keeps all 12 names softly until morning. Thank you for spending this hour with Where Old Gods Sleep. If this brought you a moment of peace, consider subscribing. Rest well and sleep deeply.